Welcome, everyone, to our Aging and Spirituality podcast, where we share secrets, tips, and techniques for living a more fulfilling life after 60. I'm Chris Jensen, and my co-host is...
Hi, I'm Kathy Lee Taylor.
We're so glad you're with us. And I want to ask you, have you gotten more pleasant or more cranky as you've gotten older?
I hope pleasant.
I hope pleasant as well. Are you more or less patient with others?
Definitely.
That's a tricky one. And would you like to improve your life and the lives of those around you by being more pleasant and patient?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? Like, why would I want to do that? But yeah, I do. But that really means having a servant heart, having your heart open.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be. Actually, that's what I want to talk about today.
Okay.
One painless way to make life a lot less stressful for you and more fulfilling and for the people around you is nonviolent communication, or it's also called compassionate communication. So I'm no expert in this. I just know that what I've learned about it and try to use it, it makes such a difference. And I think you'll find that too, even if you take little bits of it. So what I'm going to give you the definition from Marshall Rosenberg, who's the founder of Nonviolent Communication. And it is based on Ahimsa. And that comes from yoga, which means nonviolence. And this natural state of compassion when no violence is present in the heart. So this is the idea. We're going to communicate without the violence. Nonviolent communication is a way of being in the world that has the purpose to serve life and to create communication in a way that everyone's needs can be met through natural care. When my daughter was little, I did this parent effectiveness training, and one of the things I remembered most from that was to every conflict, there's a solution where nobody loses. And I feel like that's what this is about. There's a solution where nobody
philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, think about how many times have you reacted negatively? You just reacted. Someone says something and you react negatively, and you ended up hurting them or yourself, and you wish you hadn't said or done it.
Too many times.
Yeah, we've all done it. I had a friend who I brought to the yoga center many, many years ago. This was even before I knew you. And that's a long time.
Or 82 then, yeah.
And Bika, another person at the yoga center, when my friend left, she said, she did a lot of killing, and I didn't know what she meant. But later I realized it. Her communication style was very violent. And not that you would recognize it as that kind of violence, but hurtful. So what we're going to talk about is just being a little more compassionate and empathetic and communication. It can change very quickly. It can change when you start becoming aware of it, how you communicate, and you won't be making so many of those comments that you wish you hadn't. So I want to start with some of the basics in nonviolent communication. The first thing is to make a connection within yourself. And this is something Kathy and I know from yoga.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
We talk about every week.
Right, exactly. When we're driven by our ego, the ego's always trying to protect itself, to be in charge, right? But if we're in touch with that place inside, it's healing. It's empathetic.
It's transformational. When you say those words, I can't help but think, if only we had more of this in the world right now, we would have less division. We would have less pain and suffering and less judgment and less, striking out at each other.
Yes.
This is the basis of being able to go through tough times together in union, with the spirit of we are all one humanity. And yes, we have different opinions, but it's so painful to watch what people are doing to each other right now. And as yogis, we just, like, our hearts are, mush. Like, drenched. Like this is so hard to watch. It's really
It is. It is painful.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah, it's violent.
It is like that person at the yoga center said, it is in a way, it's killing,
Yeah, it is. Of course it is.
killing something.
Yeah.
And, one of the ways you get to that place within is meditation, prayer, inspired readings, poetry, music, even quiet time in nature, all of those things, what works for you. For us, we have many years of meditating because the whole purpose of meditation is to make that connection with that inner self, that place within. So
Definitely.
that's number one. Next thing is honest expression. We express ourselves vulnerably without criticism or blame. So that's the key in nonviolent communication. How often are you critical of someone else or blaming them for something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if you didn't do that. Oh, if you didn't put that on the counter. I mean, I'm talking about simple things. I'm not talking about big things. If you hadn't put that on the counter, I wouldn't have messed up.
Yeah. These are the things you find out when you're in close relationship or proximity with somebody. You're like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
man, I suck at this.
right, exactly.
It's hard to be vulnerable. And if you don't push yourself to do it, you can't express the honest communication that's going on inside of you, right? Like I remember playing with a bunch of the tennis ladies, and they had no ability to express when they felt scared or hurt, or they would literally just being like in that competitive nature, just back away from anything that's even sniffed of being vulnerable, because you can't. It's hard to do that and be in a competitive on the court kind of environment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I had no, even when I hurt my foot, and went back and was playing with the gals, and I was just so open and vulnerable about how I felt. I was off balance, like not the same player I was 4 months ago, that kind of thing. It makes such a difference. They were looking at me like, what a strange animal. This woman, like, she has no problem, talking about how she really feels about things. And to me, I wouldn't know how to be the other way anymore.
Yeah, it's critical. And so you reveal your feelings and you ask for what you want without making demands.
Yeah.
You don't, it's not like, I should have this. You're not coming from an entitled place or a demanding place or a critical place. You're just saying, I need this. I was telling Kathy a little while ago about my 2-year-old grandson, and I asked him if he wanted something, and he said, no, I need yours. I mean, now it's vulnerability. He was basically telling me that, he wanted mine.
Yeah.
And it was just honest. He wasn't being critical. He wasn't being, saying, I have to have this. He just said what he wanted.
Yep.
So that's where we need to go. We need to go back to where we were before we learned all these defense mechanisms.
Defense, exactly.
So the next step in this is what's called empathetic presence. And that's where you listen to others with a silent mind and an open heart. And our sole purpose in this listening is to connect with the speaker, to really understand their meaning, what they're meaning, what they're feeling, without judgment. And we attempt to remain empathetically present even when we are being targeted with criticism or blame. And that's hard to do. But it's really important, because what happens when we're listening to somebody? Most of the time they're talking, and then you're starting to think about how you're going to respond.
Exactly.
And then you don't really hear what they're saying. How many times have you responded? I know I've done this a million times, for the other person to only say, no, that's not what I meant.
Wow.
Because I wasn't listening empathetically.
Yep.
I wasn't really listening. I was thinking about how I was going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you're targeted with criticism or blame, if you're not willing to go inside and really be empathetic and listen to that person from a place of pureness, then you're going to slam back at them.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Oh, you hit me, I'm going to hit you harder.
Mm-hmm.
And, so how do we deal with criticism? We try to be empathetic and really understand what the person is saying, what their issue is, and try to deal with that.
Yeah.
And, with criticism, you look at it. If it has value, fine. Maybe it doesn't have value. Not, a lot of criticism does not.
Yeah, 95% of the time, people just need to be seen and heard.
That's right. They
They
just
don't give
need
a
to be
crap what you
heard.
think.
They just need to be heard. Yeah. Yeah. Like if someone's criticizing you for something, if you could really hear where their pain is and
Mhm.
address that, then relationships change. Life changes for them and you. I know when I'm not always able to do this, but when I do it, I feel so good afterwards.
Yeah, about myself, yeah.
Yeah, I feel good about myself. I feel a connection with the
Mhm.
other person. When I don't do it, I don't feel that. I
Yeah.
feel bad, and I know I've disconnected. So we got to be careful, when we're in a conversation with someone, to not be judging or ready to fix their problem.
That's me, man. Ding, 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 ding. That's the probably one of the biggest lessons in my whole life is like I'm so damn smart. I know how to solve every problem. And just shut up because I know where you're going and I'm going to tell you how to fix it before you even finish telling me. That is so horrible. And I catch myself still doing it sometimes. And it's like, oh my God, are you never going to learn, woman? Just shut up.
Well, I remember this couple I knew, and the guy, there was this self-help program, and he signed his wife up for it because he thought she needed
He
it.
signed her up for it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say he's the one who needs it.
I somehow see divorce in the future. That's funny.
So the next thing in this process is self-empathy. When we fail at being empathetic to others, being angry, we have to give ourselves some empathy. We take time out to vent our judgments in the privacy. Okay, I'm feeling this anger judgment thing, So maybe we vent that to ourselves and then we identify and connect with the unmet needs that we have, and then deal with the other person. Feeling each other's unmet needs. But you want to not judge yourself is what I'm saying here.
Okay.
The main thing here is just like we don't want to be judging others, you're going to make mistakes. So don't judge yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
I made a mistake. Let me fix this. What am I going to do now?
Yeah. Well, and if nothing else, if you're busy judging yourself and going down that road, you're not open to helping the other person. Can't be.
You can't be in a two-way communication, And this is all about reconnecting with our essence, about love and compassion. And once we do this, you find your mind. What I find is when I do it, my mind is so calm and clear, as opposed to when I don't do it. There's thoughts going around, and we can reveal our feelings and be okay about that.
Be safe. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there are some a few things you can do to help you if you want to be working with this. And again, don't judge yourself if you try working with it and you do it sometimes and not sometimes, because that's how it's going to be. It's okay, just like we're not judging the other person. But first thing you ask yourself is, am I self-connected? Am I expressing myself honestly and vulnerably? Am I listening empathetically? Am I valuing the needs of others and my own needs? Those questions you can ask yourself. Am I committed to seeking solutions that can meet everyone's need? Just like that old parent effectiveness training, there's a solution where nobody loses. There's always a solution like that. I used to do that with my daughter when she was little. That was one of the things of that training that really stuck with me. Probably because I needed it myself. And she would do that. She was a little thing, but she would solve problems with she was like 3 or 4 years old, and she would solve problems with her friends like that, where nobody was losing. It was
That's the Libra in her.
oh yeah, Oh, yes. It
Definitely.
suited her nature just fine,
Yeah.
just fine. Yes, that's very Libra thing. Then you can ask yourself, is there judgment or blame in my awareness? Am I angry or resentful in this moment as I'm engaging with someone? Because if you ask yourself those questions, it kind of takes the resentment and the blame out of it, just because you're aware that that's where you're coming from and not being empathetic. So those things help you to get centered, to be more compassionate in your communication. And then you look at your language. Are my words free of criticism and blame?
Mm.
And I find that I'm most likely to do that when someone is criticizing or blaming me.
Oh, okay.
Then that's when I'm more likely to do it. And that's when you got to catch yourself. Okay. And then you want to instead listen empathetically to what their real issue is, so you can really deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are things that, can help us along the way. And then
words are powerful. Words are really powerful. They can do a ton of damage, or they can really emit what you're talking about, which is compassion and love and empathy. Words are really, really important.
I mean, your communication is my communication, my nonverbal communication. How's that? My tone of voice, my body language, is that congruent with my words? And I have found myself doing that. Like if I'm too busy or tired, or irritable, then your tone of voice shifts. So you need to just stop a minute, ask yourself, what's my nonverbal communication like?
Yeah, you remember when we'd be in class and our teacher would look out at us and go, "Are you guys happy?" And we'd be like, looking around like, what is he looking at? Well, your face isn't showing it.
Your face is not showing it. Yeah, nonverbal communication.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So just check yourself out. These little things you do will improve your life immensely. Even if you do it a little bit, it will make a big difference.
It does.
And then the use of power. Do I want to overpower the other person to get what I want? Is my request really a demand in disguise? Are you prepared to hear no, listen empathetically, and keep the connection going? That's an important thing. If there's something you really want, don't try to power it through, because that never works anyway. Really. If you
but you mean it may work, but you may not like where it gets you.
It may not get you where you want to go. I mean, it's not going to keep connection going. You're not going to be happy if you do it like that, So it's important to hear no, to listen empathetically, maintain the connection, keep the dialogue going, because when you do, you could very likely get whatever it is you want. But when you're trying to push it or demand it or use force, generally it ends up against it. So those are some things that can be helpful along the way.
100%.
But it's very important, I think, to think about our communication as a healing vehicle rather than a weapon.
Yeah. It's Valentine's Day, folks. There's no more important day like today than to just think about what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And by the way, your lovely host, Chris Jensen, it's her birthday.
Yes, it is.
She was born on Valentine's Day. So if that isn't the person that you want to listen to who's talking about love, I don't know who else would be better at it, honestly. So happy birthday, my friend Chris. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, a great lover of the world, honestly. If you've listened to any of our conversations, that's easy to see.
Well, thank you. And this has been a joy to share this with you, because I know it's made a big difference in my life, and I hope it does for you too.
100%.
So thanks for listening, folks, and we hope you'll join us again very soon.
Yeah.
And
go to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Don't eat too much chocolate.
No. And if you do eat chocolate, make it dark chocolate. Okay.
Happy Valentine's, everyone. Bye
Thanks
for
for
now.
coming. Bye-bye.